What is going on today, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. And today, we're going to be doing top 5 supports in rank to win your games. Last week, we did ADCs. If you guys are interested in that, go check that out. But we're going to give you guys an honorable mention and also 5 gods with their builds that I think are the best supports to be playing currently. A little honorable mention shout out to Ares. I think he could be considered top 5, and I wouldn't be upset if anybody said he was top 5. But I've got a sneaky 5 that I think is a little underrated right now. I think Ares is very good. I think his laning phase is strong. He forces out relics. He's very tough to deal with from ahead. He's hard to deal with even when he's behind because he's just forcing relics. And then he's still one of the best late game supports you can have on your team. The sustain he gives himself with his 2, the protections he gives to allies, which is he's one of the few characters that actually gives protections, especially this big after the protection nerf across the board for all items. So giving 40 protections of each to teammates is insane. And it's the same giving it to himself on top of that 30 health regen. He is very, very hard to kill. I think Ares is, again, could be considered top 5. I'm just going to put him at honorable mention because my number 5 is maybe a little surprising. My number 5 is going to be Guan Yu. It's going to be Aspect Guan Yu support. I've got this little god builder ready. This is kind of what I think with Guan Yu and why I think he's that good. I think his 3 also does kind of the same thing that Ares 2 does, where it gives protections, but it is also shredding protections from enemies. And in a 2v2 where the fights aren't happening like over like that, and you're also able to use your 1 passive on your teammate to also reduce their cooldowns, to reduce your cooldowns, it feels really good to have him fight in that 2v2. And as long as you're not getting one shot by a very aggressive dual lane, Guan Yu kind of just eventually wins out. And the reason I'm going for a build like this is I don't like building a ton of health in most of my items. So just going 1 health item to kind of, shore it up at the beginning and then kind of building more protections around that usually feels a lot better. I like Breastplate over Freya's Tears because I like the mana regen and I like the max mana. Feels a lot better. And also, I think it's a little underrated getting that cooldown tick when you are taking a lot of damage from Breastplate's passive. When you lose 500 plus 25 times your level HP, your abilities are reduced by 1 second. It does feel really good. With that, Talisman of Purification, a little bit of cooldown, a little bit of protections, and also you get the active. So if you're getting collapsed on or your teammate is and you don't have any cooldowns up, you can peel them out with just this. I like the Helm of Radiance because you are fighting over a long period of time. You're going to be taking physical damage, getting that stacked up, and the intelligence just feels really good. I wouldn't be upset if you wanted to go Chronos Pendant before Helm of Radiance. Chronos Pendant is just, it's cooldown. That's the reason you're going for it. With this, you want to be spamming abilities. Cooldown is going to feel really good. And then lastly, Shifter Shield. I think Shifter Shield just feels good as like a 6th item. Usually, if you're the one engaging, you can get a lot of damage off before dropping to 75% health. And then once you get that, you can use this passive pretty well. With a lot of the other items kind of getting nuked, it ends up being like a pretty solid item. And then just it gives you more int if you can actually use it when you're like healthy. You're going to be healthy because you're going to be healing yourself up, which means you're going to be healing for more. So that's why I think Shifter Shield actually feels pretty good. And then how you're playing Guan is you're just playing for a lot of 2v2s. Your 2v2s are really, really strong. You live ganks really easily. Your teammate is a lot more dependent on just kind of their kit. But I still think Guan Yu is very good, and I'm going to put him at number 5. Number 4 is going to be Yamoja, and it's mostly just for the reason that I think she is just a little too hard to play for most people, so I'm going to put her at this number 4. I do think she has the skill ceiling to be number 1, but across the board, most of the time, she is still going to be fine because she's just that good, but she very rarely caps out in most games. The reason for the build, Thebes, you get that extra health, so those shields on your 2 go up a little bit more, 4% max health. So just getting the Thebes, you're going to be giving an extra 40 shield, which feels really good. Combining that with Spirit Robe, and you're just very hard to deal with early game with just Spirit Robe and with Gauntlet of Thebes. I really like Scepter of Dominion because if they're collapsing onto you and you feel like you can't live the damage, you're delaying it 4 or 5 seconds with this Scepter of Dominion, maybe even more, or living, because just dropping this on yourself, a lot of times you can cast it when you know you're going to be taking a lot of damage, and then you can avoid that big ability burst. So if there's like a Scylla ultimate that you hear that's coming, you can drop it at your feet, or if you're hearing like a dash taunt coming, you could drop it on your feet, drop it on yourself to kind of live that. The other opportunity you can do is you can drop Scepter of Dominion, stun people, and then drop your ult. So then you lock them down first, and then you also lock them down again, and your team can kind of set up their CC off of both of your CCs, your wall and the Scepter. Talisman of Purification is just one of the best support items you can have. Same thing as with Guan Yu. It gives you just that immunity, your teammates, little get out of jail free card if you ever misplay. Stampede feels really good. It's the health regen with just this active just being able to cap out like 5 health regen every second feels really, really good. And then lastly, Freya's Tears, you need a cooldown item. It's either this or Breastplate, but you don't really make great use of Breastplate with Yamoja because you don't have mana. And I think Freya's Tears feels pretty good. Number 3 is going to be Ymir. I think Ymir kind of has the same issue as Yamoja, where his skill ceiling is very, very high, but it's hard to make use of it a lot of the times. And I have this little note right here where ability maxing differs every game. Some games your 2 is going to be your main ability. Some games it's your 1. Some games even if it's going to be your 3. So it's just very different, and you have to kind of think about how you want to max when you're playing Ymir. But his skill ceiling, again, is incredibly high. The final build is Heroism into Thebes. Thebes, again, comboed with Spirit Robe. Very, very easy way to live in the early portion. I like Freya's Tears for the cooldown rate combined with, you know, solid protections of each. You're not getting a ton of protections in this build, so the passive of Freya's Tears isn't that great, but it's mostly just for the cooldown. Xerxes Hexstone, it's just a get out of jail free card, an engage card, a let's CC this guy card. It does a ton of different things. It's very, very valuable. And then Spectral Erosion. Spectral's just in case you kind of, you know, get walled off and you don't want to burn your Xerxes and you want to just reduce a little bit of damage. It's also one of the highest protection items you can get, so even if the assassin is trying to commit to you, you're reducing a lot of that damage. And then Erosion. There's a ton of shields in the game. Just buy Erosion in a lot of games. Even if it doesn't feel that good, it's kind of almost just a necessity because of things like Shell, things like Heroism, Emojas, and then Bloodbound books. Like, there's so many shields. You're kind of just going to have to default into Erosion a lot of the time. But Ymir, very, very strong 2v2 early game. A lot of kill potential. Can snowball very, very easily. Can farm the enemy jungle very, very well. And then does objectives faster and has good secure with his ultimate. A little bit of coin flip for 2 and 1. I'm going to do Aphro at number 2. I think she could be argued for number 1, but she is, I think, slightly weaker now. She's also got a not great matchup into the number 1, so we'll talk about that when we get there. But into most other gods, she at least does go even. Very hard to commit to. She has a CC, she's got sustain, she's got teammate sustain, and then she's also got the invulnerability that also pairs as a dash, which is just crazy. Her 2v2 early game is fine, it's livable, but as soon as she gets like level 5, level 6, her 2v2 is disgusting and it's very hard to win against. Again, Heroism, I think Heroism is kind of just default every game. It's so good. Stampede, you could go Chronospin at first item, and I really don't think it's that bad with Aphrodite. It's just going something that gives you the ability to live without having to use your ult. A lot of the times will feel good. And that's why you also see like Scepter, Dominion, and Talisman, because it just helps you live while not having to use your ult. So you can kind of use your ult for your teammate and then just use like your Scepters, your Stampedes, and your Talismans for yourself, or use your ult for yourself and then you can save these for teammates. It just gives you a lot of survivability. Chronos Pin it to spam your abilities. Spirit Robe is just that little bit of protections that you can use, and then Freya's Tears is extra protections, and then more cooldown. Aphrodite is probably the best late game support in the game. She's just got a not great early game. And number 1, to nobody's surprise, is Sobek. I've chatted about it in my stream a few times where I think you could argue that I think Sobek is probably number 3. Like, the skill ceilings of the other characters can make them better most times than Sobek. But Sobek is so just default easy to play and rewarding to play that it doesn't make sense to not have him at number 1. Like, this character, you play him badly and you're still probably doing okay. Again, Heroism into Thieves, Spirit Robe, very hard to deal with. I was going to add a note where I think Health Chalice and Health Potions early game are very good on Sobek because you are just so tanky and you have a good amount of sustain also that once you get those items, those pots ticking, you're very, very hard to commit to, and it makes it hard for the enemy team to kind of punish you when you pluck. The Freya's Tears, you're going to have a good amount of protections in this build, and then it also just gives cooldown. I think it feels good. Breastplate is kind of the same thing. It feels good. It gives you cooldown, and then sometimes if you hit a pluck, you'll take a lot of damage. That Breastplate maybe ticks to give you that second off your abilities to help you live. And then combining that with Ancile and Spectral Armor, it reduces a lot of the physical damage that you could be taking with the basic attack damage reduced from Ancile and then Spectral just giving a ton of physical protections. You really don't have to worry too much about any damage as Sobek. Like, to be completely fair, he is just very tanky and he can avoid a lot. But this makes it just a little bit easier where if you are face tanking a lot, it reduces a good amount of it. And then you just use Ancile on your 3 and it's just really, really easy to hit. Silence, so you can interrupt like a Guan Yu 3 or an Anubis 1, and it's annoying. There it is, the top 5 supports to be playing in Smite 2 right now. If you guys like this sort of content, make sure you guys like the video so I can continue doing these, and then you can also subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.